A neighbor of mine was telling me about her children once. She had two. She was talking about the older one, the one who was giving her trouble at school, the one who argued, the one who cried loudly and often and made the whole house aware of his feelings at all times. She talked about him for quite a while, and then, almost as she was leaving, she mentioned the younger one. She said, "Oh, and there's Clara. She's fine. No trouble at all, really." And something in me went very still. No trouble at all. I have learned over a very long time of listening to parents at kitchen tables, at family gatherings, in gardens, in the ordinary in-between moments where people talk, that those 4 words are sometimes the most important things said in an entire conversation. Not because they are wrong, because of how quickly they are said, how easily the child is set aside, how relieved the parent sounds when they say them. I said, "Tell me about Clara." She looked slightly surprised, as though it had not occurred to anyone to ask. "There is a child I want to talk to you about today. Not the loud one, not the one whose feelings arrive in the room before they do. The other one. The one who has learned, very early, very quietly, without anyone teaching them, that the way to be loved without being a burden is to need very little. To say fine, to manage, to become, over time, the easy one. And I want to tell you something about that child that I suspect you have not heard before. They are not easy. They are working extremely hard. You just cannot see it. When a child goes quiet under stress, not the quiet of a child who is genuinely settled, but the quiet of a child who has decided that their feelings are too expensive to bring into the room, something very specific is happening in their nervous system. They are not absent. They are reading. They are reading the room, reading the mood, reading the particular quality of the silence between the adults, reading whether today is a day when there is space for them or whether there isn't. And then they are making a decision every single day. Sometimes several times a day, the decision is not today. And here is what I want you to understand about what that costs them. Holding a feeling inside is not the same as not having it. The feeling is still there. It still has weight. It still needs somewhere to go. And a child who routes it inward, day after day, feeling after feeling, is not at peace. They are under pressure, quietly, invisibly, continuously under pressure. That is what internalized stress is. Not drama, not difficulty. Just a child carrying something heavy with no one to set it down with. That decision does not arrive fully formed. It arrives in small moments that the parent almost never notices. The time a child started to say something and was interrupted. The time they brought a feeling to the table and the feeling was handled a little too quickly, resolved a little too efficiently, tidied away before it had finished being felt. The time they were sad and someone said, "Come on now, you're all right." None of those moments are crimes. They are just Tuesday. But a child who experiences enough of them starts to draw a conclusion, and conclusions, once drawn, are very difficult to unlearn. Rue the cat is extremely good at this, actually. He has never once, in my experience, tried to resolve a feeling prematurely. He simply locates the quiet child, sits near them at a respectful distance, and remains. Occasionally he falls asleep, which I think communicates something important about the absence of urgency. I have occasionally wished more parents had his instincts. Fewer words, better timing, less rushing toward the thing. The world your child is growing up in has a particular talent for rewarding the silent ones. A screen asks nothing of them emotionally. A game gives them control, competence, a clear set of rules, and the ability to simply close it when it becomes too much. None of that is available in a real conversation. A real conversation requires you to not know how it will end. It requires you to be readable. It requires something that a child who has decided to manage alone finds genuinely frightening. It requires trust. And so the child who has already learned that their feelings are too expensive to bring into the room with the people they love most, that child takes one look at the emotional safety that a screen offers and they walk straight toward it. Not because they are addicted, because they are relieved. Now, I want to stop here for a moment because I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, but my child talks to me. They tell me things. We have a good relationship, and I believe you. And I want to ask you something anyway. When did your child last tell you something that was genuinely hard for them to say? Not a complaint, not a request, not information about their day. Something that cost them something to bring to you. Take a moment with that question, because the answer to it tells you more about where your child is than almost anything else. The child who only tells you the easy things is not a child who has nothing hard to say. They are a child who has not yet decided that you are the right place to say it. I met Clara a few weeks later. Her mother brought her to a Sunday lunch. The adults were talking inside, and Clara had drifted out to the garden, the way quiet children always do, finding the one space where nobody needs anything from them. I went out too. I had no particular plan. I just sat nearby. She was 8, very composed, very polite, the kind of child adults describe as mature for her age, which is a phrase I have come to treat with considerable caution. I asked her what she thought about. She looked at me as though no adult had ever asked her that before. Then she said, "Do you mean what I actually think about, or what I'm supposed to say?" 8 years old. I told her she could say the actual version. She talked for 45 minutes. I did not interrupt once. Rue the cat would have been proud. What unlocked Clara was not a technique. It was not a question or a strategy or the right thing said at the right moment. It was simply the quality of the space. She looked at me and decided in about 30 seconds that this particular room was one where she did not need to perform. Children make that calculation constantly. And what they are calculating is not whether you are kind or patient or interested. They know you are kind. They know you are interested. What they are calculating is whether you can hold it, whether, if they bring something heavy into the room will tip, whether your face will change in a way that makes them responsible for managing your reaction on top of their own feeling, whether the conversation will end with them feeling more alone than when they started. A grounded parent is not a calm parent. Calm is a mood. It comes and goes. Grounded is a quality of presence. It is the thing that makes a child feel that the room will not tip, that whatever they bring, the person in front of them will not shatter. will not panic, will not immediately try to fix it out of existence, will simply stay. That quality is not something you either have or you don't. I want to be very clear about that. It is built deliberately, with specific understanding of what your child is watching for, what they need to see, and what has been making the room feel unsafe to enter. And once a parent builds it, not perfectly, not all the time, but reliably enough, something shifts, slowly, in the small moments first. The child says something slightly harder than they have said before, and the parent holds it, and the child notices, and comes back a little closer the next time. Clara's mother rang me that evening. She said, "What did you say to her?" I said, "I didn't say very much at all." She said, "She hasn't stopped talking since she got home." I said, "That is not because of anything I said." She said, "Then what was it?" I said, "I just didn't look like someone who needed her to be fine." If you have a quiet child, a fine child, a no-trouble child, I want you to ask yourself one thing tonight, not what is wrong with them, but what does your face look like when they bring you something hard? Does the room steady, or does it tip? Because the answer to that question is the answer to why they are quiet. The Grounded Parent Blueprint is in the first link in the pinned comment below. It gives you the specific framework for becoming the room your silent child has been waiting to come back to. Click it tonight, right now, before the quiet becomes so ordinary you stop hearing it. And if you are wondering what happens to a child like Clara when she walks into a classroom and finds that the person meant to truly know her is being quietly replaced by an AI tutor, something endlessly patient, endlessly available, and completely unbothered by who she actually is underneath the fine. I have some thoughts about that, and I think you will want to hear them.